hesitation. Got me going crazy. Keep it moving, I'm tuned in to True North Racing. The podcast that you need if you got the need for speed. John Morrison interviewing guests in the industry. Hey, short track, stock car racing. Gotta get it hype. Saturday night under the lights. Hear the engine rooming by. Smell the gas and feel the vibe. Going into overdrive. Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Hey, True North Racing. Let's go.
All right, guys, this week on the True North Racing Podcast, we are sitting down with a 2021 Quick Wick Super Stock Series champion, Lane Zardo. Lane, how's it going, man?
It's going all right, man. Just been a little bit of a long day. First and foremost, I actually want to, if I could, dedicate this podcast to my buddy Robert Richardson. He ran a legend car a little bit. He helped out Jake Gilbert, helped me out a little bit. My buddy Chad Corcoran, and unfortunately passed away when he was working out west. Was just at his service earlier today. Saw a lot of friends, had a lot of laughs. So like I said, just possible, like to dedicate it out to him, and hopefully his family's doing good. They look like they're in good spirits today.
For sure. That's it. And hell yeah, let's dedicate it this episode to him. Obviously that's a tough day to deal with. You never want to lose a good buddy like that, especially it seemed like he was a young guy to begin with. So
yeah, he was a young guy. I wasn't like super close with him, but we became pretty good friends last year, and he was wild, man. He's definitely going to be giving heaven some hell. So hopefully he doesn't get kicked out before the rest of us get up.
Hopefully not.
Well, other than that, we were also at the Flamborough rules meeting today. So it was a pretty good day, pretty productive day.
So how was that rules meeting, by the way? I haven't heard a whole lot come out of there.
It was pretty cool. Like they made some funny. Oh man, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it because Gary Colling has this cool idea for fighting in the pits. So
no.
we're gonna have to talk with him about that afterwards, and maybe give you the opening to kind of announce it. But it's a really cool idea that he's got. They got a few new faces that are going to be coming behind the scenes. They got a new race director and new tech guy and whatnot, new announcer. So it should be a pretty fun season. We just went out there to kind of check it out. We were debating between there and Sunset Speedway to run with the quick our super stock that I run with Kenny Grubb and for Best Force products. So we just went there to check it out, and it looked like it all planned out. Their nights are a little bit shorter, like they start later, which is nice when you work on Saturdays and whatnot. And
absolutely,
yeah, it gives you time to do whatever. It's a little bit closer, but we will be going to Sunset a few times. Sunset has a really big race for super stocks actually. I believe it's the 14th of May. The Pinty Series is going to be there.
Yep.
And they announced that it's like $3,000 to win.
Cool.
So we'll be showing up there to hopefully take home a little bit of money and have a good time at Sunset Speedway, support that speedway. And other than that, we're going to probably be running Flamborough pretty much every night. It's going to be about 11 races for the home track series. Going to be bringing a few extra cars with us as well, hopefully with the Bester Forest Products racing team. And try to get it done, try to have fun.
Well, Jesus Christ, you took away almost half our episode here by that. Jesus. So obviously, okay, so it sounds like you're going to run Flamborough full time. Are you going to go return and do battle for your run for a back-to-back championship in the Quick Super Stock Series or no?
Yeah, so you have to run a home track. I really like how Quick Wick, the APC Quick Wick Series does it, because they make it so you can't even qualify for points without showing up to at least, I think it's like 70% of home track races. You have to have a home track, and you have to support, say they have 10 races, you have to show up to like 7 of them. So I like that, because sometimes you get these touring races and it takes away from your local home tracks, and it really sucks to see car counts drop like that. So they're making sure that you got to stay nice and true. And then the Quick Wick Series is only 5 races, which is, really nice. You get 5 really big events where sometimes I think there was 2 races where over 40 cars showed up. Yep. 4 races where over 30 cars showed up. So, you get that really good atmosphere. So we're going to be doing that. And they changed it a little bit. So how the rules used to work out was you would get 2 points for, they would take your best 5 nights from your home track races and include that into your quick series points.
Okay.
So try to follow along. It is a little bit complicated, but you would get 2 points for last place.
Okay.
And another point every position up. So if you raced against 10 cars and you won, you'd get 11 points. Problem is, if you raced against 25 cars and you got 10th, you'd be making more points than the guy that just won, which is understandable to a certain point. You know, it's harder to win against that many cars, but it also put a lot of people at a disadvantage. So we were actually thinking about going to Delaware. We know they got the big car count, but running Fridays and, you know, living around Toronto, it's like 2.5, 3 hours with traffic to get to Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a beautiful facility. They got Luke Ramsey just purchased the Speedway, and they got a whole lot of stuff going on there. So we're gonna do that, but they changed the rules to, if you get perfect attendance at your home track, you get an extra 10 points, which is just enough to make you want to do it, and not enough to really take you out if you can't commit. So cheers to Quick and APC series for doing that, the United Late Model Series, or I guess United Racing Series now we can call it. But yeah, so we do have to choose a home track, and Flamborough will be our home track.
Nice. Well, definitely, you know, obviously that's, you know, that, and that's where you pretty much got your start, isn't it? Down at Flamborough?
Yeah. Okay. So actually I got my start in a go-kart series called WRKC, Waterloo Regional Kart Club, who after moving around a few times is actually, I never raced a go-kart track at Flamborough, but that's where they are located now.
Yep.
And when I moved out of go-karts, I started racing in mini stocks at Flamborough. Ran half a season of Thunder Cars or Super Stocks at Flamborough, and then I made my way to Sunset in 2010. Sunset's been my home for the last 10 years, and you know, lots of good memories and like so many good memories, so many good friends, and got nothing bad to say about Sunset. It's just the last 10 years has kind of been the same thing. So I'm looking forward to something a little bit different, but I am looking forward to going back to Sunset and having some fun there.
Obviously, you know, that's a good thing too. Which is kind of funny because I remember when you started mini stocks, because someone you and I both know, how's your mini stock at their trailer? Kenny Askin.
Yes. Yeah. Kenny. Big Kenny.
Oh yeah. Ed's actually my stepdad.
Really?
Yes, he is.
I was actually just watching before you before we started this call. There's a race at Scotia Speed World in 1990. My grandfather, my dad have a good interview. My dad had a mullet, and probably just a woman getter. He was a good looking guy back then, but good series to watch. And I saw Kenny in the background unloading on the tires. Is
that race on like YouTube or something, or?
Yeah, I'll send you the link after this.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be great. I'd love to watch something like that.
Watching those old school ACT races.
Oh man, I got hooked on I think it was the ACT class or ASA down at Cayuga a few times.
Yeah.
I've sat down and watched that one a couple times now, and I'm just like, man, I would love to see a grandstand like that filled nowadays.
I actually just watched a race. I just had an interview with Alex Nagy, and I realized after the interview, which I'm kind of pissed off about because I would have liked to call him out on it. They used to run big rigs, like big rigs.
Yes.
Diesel big rigs. So I watched a video, and Alex Nagy actually won at Cayuga racing for Randy Slack. But it's like when they take off, there's so much diesel and there's just so much black smoke in the air. If you start like behind the third row, it'd be hard to see. But
sure.
Cool. Those old school racing videos are pretty cool. And, you see all the old school schemes and the old school look. Like you can definitely tell they were hard partiers back in the 80s and 90s too. So
man, so the stories that obviously guys can't tell, those are obviously out there that, there's a lot of guys who, I've had John Carley in here before, and he's like, man, I can't say half the stuff I want to say about our trips to Michigan and stuff. And you know what? That's exactly what the culture was back then.
Yeah. Nashville. I hear a lot of stories from Nashville, which I'm actually going to Nashville in about 2 weeks. One of my buddies, Nick Letson, he races legend cars. He got the opportunity to run a car down there. So me and my best friend, Chad Corcoran, Colton Everingham, who also was a local good short track race around Ontario. We're all going to go and see if we can stand up for half a week in Nashville. I'm sure it'd be pretty hard after the first night, but
I'm sure you guys are not going to be walking anywhere after a couple nights there.
Colton's a big guy, so we got some bodyguard, which is good. Chad can get a little bit lippy sometimes in a funny way.
Oh boy. All right. So if we hear anything bad about coming from Nashville, it probably has to do with the three of y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we want to jump back here a little bit because, you know, obviously you come from a racing family. You know, if you're involved in racing in Ontario, you know the Zardo family. It's you know it's you got your grandpa, your dad, your brother. All you guys have been racing for a long time. So what is it like being in the footsteps of such great drivers in your family?
Opened up a lot of opportunities. And I've said it before. You know, I credit a lot of my success to the fact that racing has a lot to do with knowledge. Yeah, you do. The more addicted and the more you do it, the better you get, obviously. But the more knowledge you have going into it, especially behind the scenes working on race cars and whatnot, that knowledge goes a very long way. So when you got a lot of the times you have to prove yourself to talk to people to get that knowledge. With my last name, I never had to prove myself. So I was able to get introduced to Junior Hanley and have conversations with him when I was 12, 13, 14, before I even really worked on a race car. And I only did like body work or rivets or whatever. You know, I have a good relationship with Brian McDonald. I was just at Whitey's the other day and had a conversation with him. Mike McCall, I can give him a call anytime. And Paul Genioli, who works with Mike McCall. You know, I drive one of their a Pro Late model from their shop, so they're always giving me good feedback, and a lot of it now might have to do with the name I've made for myself, but the name I've made for myself came from the knowledge I was able to get because of my grandfather's last name. So like there's zero pressure from it, and if there is any pressure, it only makes me that little bit better. I find I perform a little bit better under pressure, but being around that last name, you know, I'm able to talk to a lot of people. I was at a party at my uncle Pete Shepard and my aunt Sharon, who's my dad's sister, and Nagy was there, Brian Todish was there, Luke Ramsey was there, like a lot of people from around the racetrack, Dwayne Baker, Tim Watson, and they're all just telling about all these, you know, these old school stories and, you know, these different ways around the sport. And although I was one of the younger people there, it's just it's so cool to be involved in that racing community and be in kind of a hierarchy like that.
Obviously, in a party like that, just being around so many great people as you were, the stories they were telling you, and the history and everything that they have involved in the sport would just be something just to sit there and soak in, because they've been around the sport longer than probably both of us have been combined, or both of us have been alive combined. So it's one of those things. It brings a lot to the. It takes it's awesome to hear that and take everything in.
Yeah, and it's just because racing's such a big community too. I mean, I believe Alex Nagy and my uncle Pete, like they really didn't like each other when they were racing against each other. They were always running for the same two positions pretty much.
Yeah.
So they had a really bad rivalry, but now to see them being, you know, really good friends and joking about it, like they're right now you can almost call them best friends, and it's cool to see how everything comes full circle like that. I've had a few rivalries where you know, I might have said some things I shouldn't have, or somebody did me wrong or whatever. And, you know, you kind of being around the same people every single week, you tend to be able to get over those rivalries in a good way. So
for sure. What's been one of your biggest rivalries that you've had?
My biggest rivalries. Me and Garrett Turismo had a pretty good rivalry this year, but for the first half of the year. But you know, after me and him raced really hard for the first half of the year, and it was all fun and games, and you know, a lot of respect for each other. But then it kind of got bad, and there's a little bit of a boiling point there, and it got a little bit awkward. And you know, we had a good clean race at Flamborough, and after Flamborough, I kind of pulled him aside and had to talk with him, and you know, said what I had to say, and I believe I let him say what he had to say, so we kind of squashed that. That was a little bit more of an aggressive rivalry, but like I said, me and him are pretty good now. On a fun side rivalry, Matt Bentley and I had a good rivalry. Me and Caden Lasovich had a lot of good races. Randy Rusno, when I ran my own super stock, I came second to that guy way too many times. That burned me. But me and him had some really good bump and runs. To this day, I think he was one of the greater super stock drivers or thunder car racers that I had the privilege to race against. other than that, like it's all just, you have a little bit of rivalries throughout a race, but I don't like to really carry them because I don't know. A lot can be answered with a simple conversation away from the pit crew. If you can take a driver away from the pit crew and, after either a week after something bad happens or, at least after like, an hour after the race, you can't go right over. But a good conversation can kind of save you a lot of money in the near future on a race car. You can't let your emotions kind of overboil there.
Absolutely, you're correct on that point, and I think that's the issue with a lot of people. I've been in the middle of some of those squashes sometimes, and it's as simple as if like you said, pull the driver away, go talk to them, because 9 times out of 10 it's usually the crew that's ready to go fight, not necessarily the drivers.
It's all about emotional control. The best thing I've ever learned from a race car driver was I saw my cousin Petey Shepherd, who like I always idolized him. He was always the top shit for me, and so professional. And I'm not near as professional, but one thing I was able to grab from him, not just from racing, was he was running the super late model at Flamborough, and about 20 laps to go, he was in second, and he had a chance to win. He was catching the leader. I'm not saying he would have won, but he had a chance to be on his bumper with 5 laps to go and make a good move. But with about 20 laps to go, a lapped car. I don't know if something mechanically happened, but my cousin was lapping the guy, and he kind of slid up and put my cousin into the wall. And when my cousin came off the racetrack, like he couldn't finish the race, so my cousin came off the racetrack. I was pit crewing for him, and I saw him kind of threw his gloves a little bit, said anything under the sun that just wasn't good for about a solid 30 seconds. Went to his trailer, put a cold rag on his face, grabbed a bottle of water, and then by the time he walked out, he had his fire suit off, and the race was over. And everybody was coming over and talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, maybe I was here, and this might have happened, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't really talked with the guy, but just that emotional control is something I always idolized him for. So that's what I thought was the biggest thing of racing, is just kind of sit your ass in the seat, stay calm, and do what you got to do. Don't be an idiot out there, because you can if you react on emotions, you're gonna make some mistakes, and it's gonna cost some people some money.
For sure, and especially with such a grassroots sport that we're in, none of us are out here making $100,000 a week. We're all out here just having fun because this is a hobby for us. We get to do it 6 months a year, and that's that's it. We don't want to. A lot of guys don't want to go out there and tear stuff up. You want to come home and all in one piece, right? It's just all about like you said, emotional control, keeping your cool. You see guys lose their cool all the time, but hopefully going forward, someone's listening to this and they're like, you know what, he's damn right. We emotional control is something that we need to work on.
Yeah. Hey, is this gonna be just audio or video?
There might be a chance for video. I'm still trying to think about that. If not, it's just strictly audio right now.
All right, because I was trying to hide my Caesar. I just learned how to make Caesars. So like,
if you're having a shit, man, go ahead, man. I don't care.
Cheers.
But let's talk about getting, obviously you raced mini stocks for a few years, and then you jumped into super stocks, or thunder stocks at the time, or thunder car down at Flamborough. What was that transition like, going from a 4-cylinder Mustang to a 8-cylinder rear wheel drive Camaro? Or were you driving the Monte Carlo?
Yeah. So I drove a Mustang for 2 years. Which if I ever found a Mustang, like Fox Body Mustang for the street, like, oh my God, I would drop whatever money I could. Those things are so sick. But yeah, so I was in a Mustang, which we bought from Brandon Watson, actually. So
okay,
it was a proven car. And then I hopped in the Monte Carlo, which is funny because even though like one's a Ford, one's a Chevy, they look the exact same. It just looks like somebody put a rope on both ends and stretched it out a little bit, and a little bit more room for a bigger engine. But it wasn't really like that challenging. My grandfather, I was lucky to get in a very competitive car at the time. We bought it from Donaldson. They built the car, and the car had a lot of wins the year before, so it wasn't too challenging. The most challenging thing was the aggression of the racing, especially being at Flamborough. But I think it was my second race of the year. Me and my brother found ourselves battling for the lead, and I actually had to bump him out the way for the win. So it wasn't really like too much of an adjustment. It just kind of, I don't want to talk myself up, but like it kind of came naturally. Obviously I had like my Uncle Pete in my ear, my grandfather, my brother. I had a lot of molding into that. So it wasn't too bad. It was more of an adjustment kind of going into a late model than it was for anything, to be honest.
When did you jump into the late model?
I ran for John Marquette a few times doing double duty through my first part of my super stock career when I was like 16 or 17. And no, that had more horsepower than anything. But I didn't know how to tell John how to set up a race car. So we struggled with that, but like the amount of power it had, it was just wild. And then I hopped into my brother's. We bought a new late model at the end of 2015, and my brother got into that. And my first race was Velocity of 2015. He ended up blowing up when he was in second, passing for first. And I was in fifth on the outside, and I saw smoke, and I'm like, holy shit. And then I hit his smoke, which was oil, and I plowed into the wall. So, that was my first run in a late model. But it was a week after that I ran Peterborough, and we won both of our heats and finished second in the autumn colors. And I actually won the Young Guns race at Kenny Grubb's super stock. So that was actually one of the better weekends of my life. But the adjustment for that was just, you never have a good handling super stock. They're a heavy car with not a lot of tires and, you know, not good brakes or whatever. You're always on the edge of, you know, spinning out or being tight. Like you're sliding all over the track. With a late model, it was very hard to adjust because when you got new tires on your late model, you're Superman for about 10, 15 laps. And if you don't take care of them, you're all over the place. It's almost hell to drive if you don't take care of your tires. So that was a big adjustment for me, was learning how to control that.
For sure. And so you ran, you just ran late models up until, well, what, 2019 there-ish? And then you jump back into super stock, or?
I ran on and off with Kenny a few times.
Okay.
First time I ran for him, his brother asked me to drive his old car at Sauble in 2015 when I still had my own super stock. And we drove it at Sauble for a Wednesday night dash for cash. His car owner, Bester Forest Products, actually sponsored the night. It was a memorial night for their father, Lauren Bester. And I actually ended up winning in the backup car, and Kenny finished second. And then when we went to Peterborough with the late model for the first time, like the story I was just saying, I was having a conversation, and one of my buddies, Spencer Lewis, came by and just kind of, as we were kind of shooting the shit with Kenny, he made a comment saying about how I should go in the Young Guns race. So I won the Young Guns race, won that. Then the next year, raced the car again for the Young Guns race, won it again. So the first 3 times I was in his car, I ended up winning, which, you know, like a little bit of it was luck for sure, but it kind of was also pretty cool. So I raced it probably once a year for a little bit. Then when Jacasa kind of came around, Kenny asked me to drive the car at Jacasa for just because it was a little bit of a bigger track, I guess. And, you know, had some good success at Jacasa. And he went through surgery last year, which is why I ended up driving the car full time.
Okay.
So that's kind of how the whole situation played out. It's all a fluke, man. It's like trying to make it as a band. You just got to be in the right place at the right time and talk to the right people and say the right things. And it's all a fluke. A little bit of luck for working hard, but it's all a fluke.
So that kind of brings me back here, because obviously I didn't realize that the partnership between you and Grubb went back to 2015. How did you guys meet, and how did that deal come about to actually really start to really drive that extra car, or to
how do we
sub
meet?
In for him?
Well, we ran at Flamborough once, and I've never hit somebody so hard to try to move him out of the way. He had an old school body on the car, and I just slammed him. I think it was for like second place. It wasn't even for the win. And his car kind of went like, and chirped up the track like a quarter lane. He just hit the loud pedal and screwed right off on me. So then we were joking about it in tech. I went over, shook his hand. I'm like, hey man, like, sorry, like if I gave you like neck problems for that, but you know, good job hanging on to it. And you know, me and him we've raced against each other a lot in super stocks back in the day, and we were always racing for the same position. We like, if I had a 5th place car, he had a 4th place car, or vice versa. If I had a 1st place car, he had a 2nd place car, or vice versa. We were always running for the same position, but we always ran each other pretty respectfully. You know, the odd bump and run or door slam or whatever, but nothing dirty, nothing intentional. And like I said, it was his brother who just kind of messaged me out of the blue, run it. And I'm like, sure, why not? And after that, I kind of started talking to Kenny a little bit more and just started joking with him. And, he asked me a few times if I want to hop in the car, and I would never say no to hopping in anybody's race car ever. So we just kind of went into that, and, we had some pretty good success.
Nice. And that's always what you want to, is you just want the success out of it as well. So obviously, you ran the bigger tracks in our shortened season 2020 there, and then went full time with them, obviously because of his surgeries and stuff. Throughout that season, what was it like running each week like you were? Once obviously we were allowed fans back, because before that we weren't sure of what we were running.
Okay, so wait, what was the question?
Sorry. I kind of like double back my own question there. What was it like taking over for Kenny because he wasn't able to run last year?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, back on the original thing, when I ran the car the first time, I forgot to mention that Andy Schmidt, who ran for Bester Forest Products way back in the day in a late model, he was a big reason why I won the first race. And he'd kick my arse if I didn't mention that, because he was a big deal about why I won that race. He threw a quick little setup in it when I was struggling. But to be running for Kenny, you kind of feel at the end of the year, I felt like Kenny could have ran the car, and like I almost felt like I was like moving him out of the way, and it was kind of a bad feeling for a little bit, but like he assured me like, no, like Kenny loves working on the car, and I'm sure he loves driving the car, but he was walking with crutches, and we had to make a brake change like 10 minutes before the race. We had to do a caliber change, and I'm trying to move him out of the way because, he's on crutches, and he's pretty much telling me to F off, and like he's just giving her. So like he's in full support, but it did take me a little bit to realize, like, that's what he wanted, and the team's fully behind it. So it's also like it's one of the faster cars in the series, so it's a good feeling. I don't work on it near as much as most drivers work on their car. Like with my Pro Late model, I do a lot of the setup and a lot of the wrenching, especially at the racetrack. With this super stock, I'm like I'm like a suitcase driver. So that's a little bit of a weird feeling, but maybe it's better like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Then hey, whatever works for you guys, right? Clearly it worked well. You guys won a championship last year.
Yeah. No, yeah, apparently, but and that's from the hard work from Kenny Grubb and Kenny Grubb, Chuck Dorr. He does a lot of the work at the racetrack. Like I said, Andy Schmidt has a lot of support on that racing program. Bester Forest Products owns the race car. We picked up a few really good sponsors like Can Do Homes and Shelby Roofing. Leslie Ford's on the hood, and Brad Widows the crew chief and his detail with our stagger and whatnot. Our engine guy. Saunders, put some pretty good ponies in that car, and our original setup came from Brian McDonald, and I think we put 2 turns into the left rear at the start of the year, and at the end of the year we took 2 turns out of left rear. That's the only chassis adjustment we made other than tires. So it was a pretty spot on program. I can't take too much of the credit for it because it's a whole circle, man. Dylan Murray was another guy that did a lot of the working on the car, so he did a lot more partying than working, but he did do a little bit of work. So it was a very good time running for those guys, and I'm very happy they asked me to come back because it was fun.
Sounds good, man. So going forward, what is your plans for 2022? Obviously, we talked briefly about it, but what's your full plans for 2022?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing the Flamborough Speedway schedule, and then quick series with Kenny Grubb. I would like to have my Pro Late model at Flamborough a few times, maybe tackle like the 3 Grisdale Triple Crown. I think that'd be pretty cool. And then my brother's going to be running a few times, so I'll be crew chiefing with him. But my grandfather is actually running on Oscar Hot Rod this year.
Oh,
yeah, Brian Cathcart was gracious enough to get him into a car, so that's going to be pretty badass. And I'm going to be spending, whenever I'm not at a racetrack for myself, I'm probably going to be at a racetrack with him. He used to spot for me, and he never says very nice things to me. Me and him have a funny relationship where we just we're very aggressive to each other. So I owe him a little bit of payback on the spotter radio. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. My 2022 future is going to be working with new career in the movie industry, and sending it as hard as I can at the racetrack, pretty much like I always do.
You know what? I think I'm gonna have to try and hopefully be at an event that the Oscar Hot Rods are at, just so I can watch that.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be cool. Make sure it's at one of the first events, just in case he knocks out the rad.
Well, I mean, the first race for Oscar is at Velocity, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And we might be there with the super stock, but my brother will be there with his limited late model as well. So it'll be a busy weekend because I'll be doing a lot of stuff with my grandfather. He'll have a little bit of support from other people like my uncle Pete Shepard and my father Bill Zardo Jr. Then I'll be doing a bunch of crew chiefing on my brother's car, and we might even be racing the super stock. So I'll have a busy weekend, but probably gonna still have a little bit of time for a little bit of juice after the race, or a few little wobbly pops. Why not?
And there ain't nothing wrong with that. That's for sure. So wow. Lost my train of thought there for a hot second. Usually happens.
Thinking about the wobbly pops, are you?
No, surprisingly not. My brain is just in 3 different directions right now. I always feel that. So yeah, honestly, I'm gonna make sure I step up and because that's a racing legend right there, and to see him back behind the wheel is gonna be awesome. And of course, seeing all 3 of you guys run in one weekend would even be a feat in itself. So hopefully, I may try to swing up to Sunset Speedway for that to catch it.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be cool. And another thing I'm kind of excited for, I got to get a free fire suit from Epic Racewear. They were a little bit of a sponsorship for the Quick Quick series.
Yep.
So shout out to Epic Racewear, because winning the championship got me to get a free fire suit, which is badass on their part, because it costs like $1,500 for a really good fire suit. But they do a really good job. They did my last fire suit, and like I said, I don't know if it's a video, so I don't know if a lot of people will see this. I got a quick little design here. I don't know. What do you think? A little bit different.
Hey, that looks pretty badass in my opinion.
Thank you. I'm not an artist whatsoever, but we'll try to do what we can do.
Absolutely. Those guys over at Epic Racewear, they're gonna hook you up with one really good looking fire suit. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, they're good guys too, Bob and Dan Bailey. They're actually a part of WRKC for a bit too, and they're very good for the community of stock car racing in Ontario.
Absolutely. We have our own merch through Epic Racewear, so they're great guys to work with. I gotta reach out to them and order more stickers, because I gotta send out stickers now.
So shout out to Epic Racewear. I think John Morrison here needs a sponsorship for the next episode, and we got a lot of publicity here, so watch out, guys.
All right, so I think it's gonna be time. We're gonna jump into our fan question period, where, as you saw earlier today, we reached out and asked people to send in their questions for you to answer. Are you ready to answer them?
All right, I got my notes with me. Let's roll.
All right, the first one's gonna be coming to us from the Quick Fire Starter group. With 2 laps to go leading, what 3 drivers would you least like to have on your rear bumper?
Okay, first and foremost, Matt Bentley. I'm actually gonna say 4. I'm gonna cheat. So Matt Bentley, because that guy is a live by the sword, die by the sword kind of racer. And I've said it 1,000 times. He will rough you up for a win, and he will put the dirtiest as in like sexy. Like, he will put on the sexiest crossover and bump and run on you, like to the point where he's done it to me, and I'm like in the car like, damn, I just got second, but that was sick. And if he has a chance to get the better of you, he will. Saying that, he's pretty good with, if you get the better of him, he'll take it like a man. He won't complain about it. So I've always enjoyed racing against Matt Bentley for that reason. Second would be Brandon McFerrin, because that kid destroyed me when we were racing bikes at the age of like 7. And I feel like if he had the chance to just root me out of the way, he would he'd take me for a tour. Caden Lapsevich, he was such an experienced driver at a young age when me and him did have our little, like I said, it wasn't really a rivalry, but me and him were racing for position a lot. So, if I saw Caden Lapsevich, closing in on me, I'd probably tuck her up my butthole a little bit and make me step on the loud pedal a little bit harder. And third or lastly, I guess, like Darren Archibald, I would hate to have that guy behind me any point of the feature, to be honest with you.
All right, our next question coming to us from Corey Strawn. Being one of the top drivers in Ontario over the years, what gives you your motivation and commitment to keep at it each year?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. That gives me a little bit of a confidence booster. But I guess what it is just all my support. Like, my mom put a lot of hours into raising me as a kid. My grandfather put a lot of time and effort and money into raising me as a race car driver. So did my dad. My brother put a lot of effort into making sure I'm not like a piece of shit. So between them, my family, my Aunt Sharon, all the support I get from Best Force Products and Kenny Grubb, all the people that have let me drive their race cars, like how could I not have motivation when I have that much support? Everybody has days where they wake up and they don't feel the greatest, they don't have the motivation to keep on going, but when you got people that stand behind you that much, it kind of gives you that extra little bit of a push to just put on some big boy pants and do what you got to do to get to the racetrack. There's a lot of late nights in the shop, but hopefully it's worth it in the end, and it's been worth it so far. So, just keep on going, and hopefully people keep on supporting me so I can keep on going.
For sure. Our next one comes to us from Mr. Wally Wilson. What's it like having the legend himself, Billy Zardo, as a brother?
I don't know. He's kind of a dick. No, no. I'm actually with my one friend that's here with me right now. He was my brother's best friend growing up, and me and him turned into pretty good best friends. Me and my brother have always had a very good relationship. So he's always been able to teach me as much as he could, and he's always been able to kind of step out of certain situations so I can have better situations. And he's always been one of my biggest supporters. And I feel like I've been one of his biggest supporters. I do a lot of wrenching on his car and whatnot, but he's never afraid to get dirty for me, and he's never afraid to I don't know, man. I actually can't say enough about my brother. I think my brother's one of the greatest people in the world. So I'm a little bit biased there. He can be a little bit of a dickhead sometimes, but all in all, he's a pretty good guy.
Our next question comes to us from Graydon Bunn. With some serious competition in the series, who are some drivers you have to be on the watch for or digging for wins in 2022?
Sean Chenoweth, if he has his car finished. I don't know if he'll have his car finished or not, but he had his car finished late last year, which I think he already sold, and that car was a bullet. And every time Sean Chenoweth builds a super stock, that car is always a bullet. So what I would watch for him. Trevor Colliver, he'll be fast at his given tracks like Delaware and Flamborough. Brendan Verhoeven, I think that's his last name. Verhoeven. Verhoeven, yes. Sorry, I apologies, Brendan, but yeah, I remember when I was doing really good in Superstock back in the day. He never traveled too much, but that kid was like unreal in Superstock for at Delaware. He lit the world on fire, so he'll be one to keep an eye on. If Ethan Constable gets his ass back in a race car this year, he'll be really good. He came on very strong. Streamline Race Products has produced a few very fast race cars with Brandon McFerrin, and Miles Tyson's building a new race car this year. So there's going to be a lot of good competition this year, and I'm very excited to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. There's no short of competition in the super stock division.
No.
Our next question. Damn it. Our next question comes to us from Billy Zardo. How many swirlies did you get growing up? Cheers tape to or any good brotherly moments?
Yeah, one time. Oh, actually, with the friend I'm with right now. So Keith, by the way, you're an asshole for this. I got taped. I was in my underwear. They taped me up and they threw me outside to a chair. Like they taped my fingers together. And I'm like, oh, this is all fun and games. But then they taped my hands behind my back. Then they taped my chest and my back to a chair. Then they taped my mouth shut and wrapped the tape around the back of my hair so it hurt when I came off. And they put me outside and it was -10 out. I don't know why they would do that, but they did that. And I did get the odd swirly, but I was a little bit of a little shit growing up. So maybe I deserved half of it, but I got a lot. I got abused by my brother and his older friends, but my brother and my brother's friends were always my best friends growing up too. So they kind of helped make me into the little bit of a tougher man I am today, I guess.
Next question to us. Wow. Next question comes to us from Jeff LaFlemme, and this one was a little bit of a longer one.
Oh no, I wrote down my answers already for this one. So yeah.
All right. If you could drive anyone's car in each division, who would you choose?
Okay, so he said bone stock, mini stock, super stock, late model, which I'm guessing he means limited late model.
Yeah.
Super late and pro late. So bone stock, I believe Colton Everingham has bone stock. I let him drive ours, so you owe me. You owe me. Mini stock, Chad Corcoran has this Nissan 240. Chad Corcoran is my best friend. I got to drive his Nissan 240 a few times. Got to drive it on dirt. Got to drive it at Flamborough. Unreal. Those mini stocks are almost harder to drive than a late model or a super stock because once it gets sideways, they don't have enough power to slide through. But that car was so bad fast, and it was just sick, man. And Chad got it fast all by himself, and he was like 15. I always had respect for that kid for doing that. Super stock, Kenny Grubbs, obviously, because that car is just fast as hell. If it wasn't for Kenny Grubbs, super stock, Chris and Joe Lawrence once had this 28 super stock. It was a black, I believe it had a Mustang body on it. They put kind of a weird nose on it for the last year that it ran. But when they brought it out a few times, I believe in like 2017 or 18, that car was so fast and it looks so nice. And, you know, Chris Lawrence has always been a wild man himself. And Joe Lawrence is so smart when it comes to race cars. So that'd be a pretty cool car. Limited late model. Kendra Adams, I believe that car, or at least when I was kind of hanging around with them, she had a wicked engine in that car. And I would love to drive that. Either that or Ricky Waltz limited late model because that car looks like it just handles like a dream. Super late model, anything built by McCall, like a rental program, because that would be sick. And a pro late model, I drove Trayton Lapsovich's pro late model, built by Whitey. And that car had such good brakes in it. And like, it's almost like no wonder he can cut through traffic the way he does. Like, yeah, he's an unreal driver, you know, not taking anything away from that, but like the good brakes, I never realized that brakes were important until I drove Trayton Lapsovich's car. So long question, but there you go. That's all I got.
And then the second part of that is if you had the opportunity, which NASCAR team would you choose to drive for?
Ooh, God damn it. Like, I feel like if I said Hendrick, it's just because I'm jumping on like the fastest team. I can't pick Gibbs because my grandfather's still upset about Pearl Harbor, so he doesn't like Toyota. And probably Stuart Haas because like Tony Stewart's just cool, man. Like Tony Stewart is a badass for all of motorsports. So Stuart Haas.
All right. Colton Everingham, a super stock second place that still stings.
Okay, so this has been a thing because I told him about how heavy my car was and like you'd never be able to move it and all this, and you know, I was kind of drunk the night before and I was up talking myself and I probably shouldn't have been. And he's like, oh yeah. He sent her in pretty hard and he chirped me up the track. So I got a second place. Well, no, actually he moved me up the track and then I think I had to pull off because my toe got knocked out from previous events before that. But you know what? Yeah, you got the better of me, Colton. Here you go. I'll announce it publicly. Colton Everingham, you got the better of me. You gave me a bump and run and sent me up the track.
I really hope I can get this last name correct here. Justin Knapp.
Oh, Kidnap. Yeah, Knapp. Kidnap. Yeah.
What's it like knowing Kidnap?
Oh, Kidnap. Yeah. Kidnap. He was always when I said I came from go-karts, he was always big in the go-karting community. Good friends with Nick Letson, who I said I was going to Nashville with. Really, really good guy. He used to be able to shoot like nickels out of his belly and like aim them like wicked shots too. Like it's pretty cool. And you know, he's always a little bit older, but a lot of the kids always loved hanging around him. He was a really cool guy for a lot of years, just to kind of be around that racetrack. You know, just always a lot of fun.
Our next question comes to us from Kyle Byrne. Couldn't pull the old man Frank Davey back when he got ahead of you. Why?
I don't remember that. I remember like Frank Davey beat me a lot of times, but like Frank Davey was also a badass for like I think in 19 years at one point of his career. He got second and first, and that was it in championships. So if I couldn't pull him back, it's because he's really, really good, and that's why.
All right. That's Travis Burton. If you had the chance to race your grandpa, how much would that mean to you? And would you give him the bump and run for the win?
Oh, yeah, no, I'd destroy him. For sure. I'd destroy him and I'd shit talk him after. Because he'd do the same to me.
Justin Collison asks, are you looking forward to running a year against your pals JC and Chad for the first time for a full season? I
am, but we've been go-karting just at rental go-karts. And it gets pretty heated if one of us has a little bit of a malfunction. So you know, I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun year running with the boys. Good fun season. You know, few wobbly pops after the races, I'm sure, but I just hope we can always keep it on the racetrack, which I'm sure we can. Me, like the three of us are actually working together tomorrow. So, I'm sure if we can survive a day of work together, we can survive a day at the racetrack racing against each other.
For sure. Our next question comes to us from Nicole Stewart. And what's your favorite track to run at and your top 5 drivers to watch in any local class?
Ooh, favorite track would either be Delaware. Oh, you still got me?
Yep.
Okay, sick. Okay, Delaware or Peterborough, because they are really weird but fast. And Delaware, corner 1 and 2, you gotta hit it so slow and patient and like completely how you don't want to hit it. And that's the only fast way to do it. And then 3 and 4, you just send it and it works out. And Peterborough always it's always such a fun racetrack. Top drivers to watch. If you're looking for entertainment, Jordan House, Matt Bentley, and Ricky Walt. Those guys are menaces behind the wheel, and they will put on entertaining, and they are fast. You're normally going to see them racing for up front, and they have unreal skill. And then other people just that are good drivers, Trayton Lapsovich and Cam Rath and Brandon Walton. Oh, and also Kyle Steckler. Yeah, that kid'll be a weapon, like in a good way.
Oh,
like wheelman.
Could you imagine Trayton and him both on the same Pinty's team?
Man, it just sucks because they're so much younger and so much more admirable than I am.
What's funny is we're supposed to have Kyle Steckley next week on the show. So
tell him I showed him out really good. So if you ever need somebody to help him out, or if he needs a fill-in driver, bro, hit me up.
I'll make sure I tell him that. Who knows? He'll probably listen to this episode anyways.
Maybe.
Our last question comes to us from Brad Laval. He goes, how did you like ending up on your roof inside twice at Autumn Colors in the Super Stock?
Well, Brad, the first time I did not like it. And the second time I really didn't like it. So what happened was I was in practice. My right rear trailing arm broke in practice coming off corner 2 at Peterborough. And when it broke, my rear end came back, drive shaft slipped out of my transmission, sent me into the wall, and flipped me like a pancake. But we were able to fix it up. Got through the heat race, just kind of putted it around. Won the heat race the next day after flipping the car. And then on the Sunday was a big feature. Started about 24th, got up into inside the top 10 and was in the wrong place at the right time. And she sent the wall pretty hard. Funny thing is, we were doing a drunk track walk with Brandon McFerrin the night before. He was like, oh, you flipped. Now you got to take out this headlight, like this stop sign, or not stop sign, but like this traffic light. The lights I use at Peterborough to say that there's caution. And I nailed that exact light. I sent it into the fence. JP wouldn't even let me bring it home for memorial or anything. Whatever. I did not like it, Brad. It was not fun.
Well, that was the end of our fan question period. I think that's probably one of our longest ones we've had. We want to thank all our fans for submitting questions, and make sure you guys tune in next Sunday to find out. Obviously, we just announced who our next week's guest is, so get those questions ready for around noon next Sunday as we drop and get ready for our next guest. Yeah,
ask Kyle Steckley if he'd ever let Lane Zardo drive one of his race cars, because that'd be pretty cool.
I'll make sure I put that in my notes for next weekend.
No, get the fans to do it. That'd be that. I'm just gonna go in as whatever.
Hey, put it in next week.
Figure it out.
Right.
But anyways, I do appreciate you having me on the show. Like I said last time, man, anytime, whenever you guys do this for us, local race car drivers, you guys make us feel like we're cooler than we actually are, and it gives us a chance to shout out our sponsors and thank all the people that do get to support us and tell some funny stories. So I do appreciate you having me on the show, and I appreciate you just doing the show all together.
No problem. Hey man, I can't do this show without all you drivers who come on, because that's who makes this show. It ain't me, it's y'all. You know, the support I get from you guys for doing this stuff is amazing. It's just second for me now. It's just, getting to talk to guys like yourself. I honestly, 2 years ago, if you're like, hey, would you talk to this guy? I'd be like, no, not gonna happen. And here, I got you on here. I got Kyle Steckley. I had Paul Pepper last week. All the guys I get to talk to. It's awesome.
That was funny.
Oh yeah, he was great to talk to last week.
I always thought he had the nicest looking superstar. So Paul, if you're listening to this, congrats, man. I think you got the nicest looking superstar.
It is one of the, he always brings fire paint schemes to the track each year.
Him and Ryan Dyson actually. Two of the
Oh
nice
yeah, Dyson's super stock this year looks good. I gotta invite him on the show.
Yeah, he'd be a good talker.
So
Make some
Ryan,
funny
if
he
you're
makes some funny
listening,
TikTok videos.
oh yeah, he does. I'm still trying to figure out how to make content.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyways, well, I just finished my Caesar, so I got to make one more before I go to bed, I think. And with that, I bid you adieu and have a good night, my man.
Awesome. Thank you, man, for jumping by. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a good night.
Cheers.
Bye now.
Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Ayy, True North Racing. Let's go.